That's okay. I'm here to learn.
Awesome. I love that. Okay.
It's all
All
about the
right,
last 10
everybody.
days.
Huh?
It's all about the last 10 days.
All about the last, well, it's all about the last 10 days in store. Absolutely. And what we're going to talk about here a little bit is holiday from an e-com perspective and getting up to that shipping window. So we talked about a little bit yesterday about how the calendar flows. Right, last year's calendar was perfect because the Saturday before Christmas was outside of the shipping window. Right, so you could no longer go on your phone to Amazon and ask for that gift to be sent to your loved one by doing it on the Saturday before Christmas. So that means all that volume is going to come. I'm going to have to show up. I'm going to have to go down to downtown Gaffney. I'm going to have to park the car. I'm going to have to walk in and see Glenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
some different.
We know that when you walk in the door at Hartzogs, it's money. You that on average, you're not walking out of there. You're walking out of there with something of value.
Exactly. Well, thanks for teeing it up. Appreciate it. So everybody is here today to talk about e-commerce excellence. We're going to touch on sort of the agenda for today is like just sort of overview of like industry sort of best practice and standards right now as we see them in the landscape, ways you can optimize your e-commerce website, streamlining operations for e-commerce, things you need to think about or you might already be doing and maybe want to elevate and evolve, how you can market your e-commerce website, and then some trends. But first, we're going to jump right into dominating the season. So we're going to really, and I always used to joke, I don't know if Jeremy had this same joke, but in my retail days and my brand days, we were either planning for holiday or we were executing holiday. Those were sort of the two gears you were shifting back and forth. So Q4 is obviously a major season for all of the retail world, but specifically for small businesses. And there's a lot of different things you can do to position yourself. When I look at some of the macro trends going on right now that are likely going to be influencing the holiday season, I think we are starting to see a little bit of pullback, a little bit of spending pullback. We're seeing debt increase to new levels that we've never seen them before. And so I think it's also an election year. So we have to kind of, temper that. There's always some you never know. Analysts, depending on which publications you read, like they'll say that is influencing purchasing activity and in spots potentially or in categories. So, there's a lot of, I would say, distraction out there and maybe some conflicting opinions. Economists are like, economy's great, but when you look at consumer polling right now and indexing, not feeling so great. So there's a huge disconnect right now, I think, between how the health of the economy and how people are perceiving it. And then also, yes, the consumer sort of spending power and buying power, and they're feeling a little bit constrained at the moment for various reasons, inflation, cost of living. It kind of runs a gamut, but I think it's just, everyone needs to sort of just be aware of what's going on so you can figure out how to maneuver. Typically in these environments where I feel like it's a little bit more competitive, it might be more hyper promotional. Small businesses can really like position themselves to succeed in the e-commerce space by like making themselves available, making your store available 24/7 online and fulfilling orders, buy online, pick up in store, local delivery if you can offer it, at least for the holiday season, shipping capabilities, healthy stock featuring the items that you really want to push as like the key pieces for the season, making the consumer's life easy, conveying value. And these can all be done through your e-commerce shop as well as your brick and mortar business. So some of the sort of strategies we want to focus on right now are start early, planning is key. Jeremy, how about those dates? What do you want to say about those dates?
No, listen, and Glenda can talk about it. Like, look, holiday is done, let's call it January, you go on vacation, you go Christmas, right? Come back right after New Year's, and first thing you do is jot down your notes of what just happened, right? Because it's so important. Because then if you don't, then some Yahoo shows up in the summer and starts asking you questions of day by day. Poor Glenda going, I don't know what happened on the Thursday before Christmas, right? It's like, but you end up doing that because you need to have a concrete understanding. Then you start to plan and say, okay, these are things that won, these are things that lost. In my assortment, I want more of the things that won if it's on trend, and if I want less of the things that lost. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And then especially in a big business, big corporation kind of play, you have February, March, that you are creating your strategies and you're solidifying your strategies. And then in April, you're making your buys, right? So by May 1st, Christmas is 95% done. So I have people in other parts of my life and career where I help brands. People come to me in June and say, hey, let's sign. Hey, we want to get into store for Christmas. And I'm like, Christmas the next year, maybe. But you have to be realistic because people have to plan so far out. When you start to plan from an e-com perspective, you really want to understand where Cyber Week lands, right? So we have Black Friday that morphs into Cyber Monday, but Cyber Monday is really stretched. And that whole event has gone from really 1, 2, 3 events. Obviously, we have Small Business Saturday in the middle of it for us, but it's stretched into one big event. So making sure you have pricing done in the right way that's good for your bottom line, but also will drive traffic and create a little bit of differentiation. That probably you'll talk about more in marketing, but from a pricing perspective, hey, I'm 20 off on this for Black Friday, and then I switch it up and come online. We do not, in our environment, want people solely to go online, right? And I would, Glenda and I talk all the time, but when we spoke about it, oftentimes people get in bigger companies, people get tunnel vision where they say, oh, now it's Cyber Week. That means I'm supposed to drive them to shop online. So what do you end up with? You walk into the store because you got out of your house, paid for the gas, took the time, parked the car, and you see a big sign that says, on sale, online only. No bueno, that doesn't work for us, right? We have to, as small business people, we have to be nimble and be all-encompassing. So it's truly an omni approach we have to think about. So from and I'll dish it back to you in a second, Kate. It's going through these points very clearly. Yes, planning. And if you have never planned before, just look at the by day volume from the last few years and just kind of get a feel for what happened. There's always a story. What happened there, right? And what that story tells you then can give you some level of predictive analytics for the future. Not going to say it's going to happen, but it's your best guess, right? And then you stay nimble and be ready to change as you can. Same thing with inventory, being able to have the right inventory in depth in those SKUs, knowing that, hey, I'm open and I usually sell 4 of these, but if I put them online and I really push it, right? Glenda sent me down the Facebook push pin wormhole. So like my family's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's a long story. But if you start to get traction on those sort of marketing things, like you got to be able to have stuff behind it, right? If you only have one of those, if you're putting out a product that you don't have that many of it, all you're going to end up doing is disappointing customers, and that's a suboptimal experience. As you see, prioritize excellent customer service. That is having the product in stock if you're going to show it. So special promotions and discount, we talked about a little bit. Again, trying to stay nimble and change in the framework of the calendar. Online, we have Black Friday. We have Small Business Saturday. We have Cyber Week. We have then a bubble week of nothing that everybody tries to make up stuff for, right? Then you get into, we called it Green Monday at some point, which was that last day you were really going to ship, right? But that's kind of stretched almost all the way. Like, look, I ordered something last year for Christmas on Amazon on December 21st, right? And it got there in plenty of time. So that shrinking of the window, and they spend a lot of money on logistics to shrink that window because there's so much volume nationally, right? In those last 10 days, the last 10 days are historically the moment in which the customer, the procrastinating customer, wakes up and says, holy family program, right? Like, we gotta go buy something, right? A quarter of all fragrances in the country get sold in the last 10 days before Christmas. Blah, that's billions of dollars, right? Why? Because easy grab and go, it's already wrapped, right? It's got a celebrity name on it, right? These are natural things, right? They're those sort of things, having those giftables on your site, in stock or ready to go, and being very clear to your customer when the last day that they can ship to, ship and get it in time for Christmas. You may want to, and now I'm going into the Dan side of things, Kate. I know lots of sites have countdown clocks. That countdown clock for We Shop SC to this is the last day we can guaranteed ship. That would be a tremendous thing to just have at the top of the page, to just, those sort of things spur action. So
Good point.
questions. Did I do it right, Kate?
Yes, I think it was great. Before we move on, any questions that are coming up for holiday Q4 planning, how you're thinking about unified commerce in store and e-com? No? Okay. All right. I thought that was wonderful. So thanks for that. Also on this screen, you'll see some resource. It's just a link to our knowledge center and some reminders of some great tools that we have that can help you with your planning strategy for whether it be marketing or even just best practices on e-commerce and how you're going to implement that for your Q4 focus areas. All right. You guys all know me, so I'm not really going to spend a lot of time, but hey, I'm Kate, founder of Beyond Main, and, we're going to help you kind of today talk about how we're going to leverage e-commerce for your business, depending on, whatever stage you're at really with your e-commerce, whether you've been doing it for a while or whether it's brand new to you. This kind of session is really meant to sort of help you think about e-com and what that means for your overall business strategy. So if in case anyone isn't familiar, but electronic commerce, e-commerce is how we often refer to it. It just refers to the buying, selling of goods and services over the internet, and that can mean from any device. It does involve the entire online process. So when we say e-commerce, really what that does encompass is like how you browse products, how you add them to a cart, how you go through a secure online payment process, and then how you also arrange or automate service fulfillment and delivery. So that whole journey is what we mean when we say e-commerce. And sometimes I think there's a little bit of a misconception on like what that term actually means. Sometimes people think it's just the transaction of the buying process, and that's a part of it, but really it's the journey of e-commerce, what we really want to kind of focus in on today, all the aspects of it. So yeah, today's focus, we're going to kind of look into some industry trends, some best practices, strategies for small business, and then help you kind of craft a roadmap for success. So what are we kind of seeing right now? Well, 2023 according to eMarketer, it was an 8 trillion e-commerce market that we operated in, and still today small businesses really capture only less than 2% of that total market. So Most of the activity is still done in store, but we know that 70% of online purchases are made on smartphone devices, and that stat just continues to grow. And 84% of shoppers say that navigating on a website is really crucial to them buying. And we know that they're beginning their journey online, even though that purchase may end up happening in store. We know that the smartphone, the tablet, the computer desktop is kind of really where the journey is beginning today. And so e-commerce can play such an important role in facilitating that experience for the customer, for your brand and your business. Regardless of if that transaction actually goes through your point of sale or online, e-commerce is a part of that journey for your customer today. And so this is why it's so important to keep focused on that e-com piece of your business as well as the brick and mortar, and really creating unified touch points. So why is it important for small businesses to focus on e-commerce? Well, it helps you reach a wider audience than maybe what your physical location can provide, can help you attract customers, both locally, but also like globally or in new markets that you're looking to tap into. It can help you find those really niche or potential loyal fans for your shop. It gives you increased flexibility. So you can operate your business really from anywhere that you have an internet connection. I mean, how amazing is that? It offers you greater control over your schedule, and also maybe employee, how you think about staffing your business. So, it gives you just so much more flexibility and being accessible and open to customers, even when you may not physically be in your business. It can help you find a new revenue channel, right? And help you increase sales, not just through an e-com specific online purchasing capability, but also by, being a lead magnet, a marketing magnet to help you drive product awareness, service offering awareness, to help you capture customers, bring them into your brand, whether they're ending up, on your website and they follow you on social, they sign up for a newsletter, they make a purchase, send a gift, buy a gift card, whatever that might be. There's a number of different ways that your e-commerce channel can work for you to help you increase sales and conversion and purchasing intent from your customers. And also, one of my favorites is that it gives you deeper customer insights. It helps you can leverage data in new ways. You help to understand your customer behavior in new fashions, right? And their preferences. And it allows you to really craft new strategies that you think would be more beneficial to increasing that purchaser visit rate or reaching new customers. So it gives you all kinds of new insights. And so these are some of the reasons why we feel e-commerce is so important for small businesses to be leveraging, and why, Beyond Main is really focused on helping small businesses do that. One tool I just want to kind of quickly plug. This was something that we helped Main Street America, which is a national organization that helps downtowns create revitalization, transformation programming, as well as marketing and promotions and events for towns. We helped them create during the pandemic a tool. It's a diagnostic tool. It's called mainstreetonlinetool.org. You can actually find it also on Main Street America's website. But basically this tool, if you're starting from scratch, or even if you just want maybe a check-in, your business has changed a little bit over the years and you want to get some, diagnostic or quick assessment on systems that might be right for you, you can visit this website, go through the assessment, and then at the end it will be provided to you a list of a number of different services that you might want to take a look at to help your business grow. So whether that's e-commerce platforms, point of sale platforms, accounting software, social media, marketing channels, it kind of runs a wide gamut, but it really is a comprehensive tool to help you kind of understand maybe where your gaps are in areas that you might want to focus on to build your e-com and your digital presence. So just a quick plug there. So let's talk a little bit about optimizing your e-commerce website. So what are some ways you can do that? Well, website design plays a crucial role in this. So you want to ensure that it's clean, it's user friendly, it's mobile compatible and responsive, since so much of activity is happening on our mobile devices now. So you want to make sure that your website, depending on the screen size, so whether that's desktop, tablet, or phone, is responsive to those different device sizes, and also your font is clear, your color palette can be easily read. Maybe there's even some ADA compliancy things you want to make sure that you are following, just to make sure for those that have impairments, or they can still access your website to the best of the ability that they can. You want to use high quality images that showcase your products and the professionalism, and just really engaging photography. So investing in maybe an app to help you edit some photos that you take through your smartphone device, or maybe you work with a photographer to help you capture beautiful imagery of your store or business. These can all really help your brand shine, and through optimizing your website. So clear navigation, easy search, user-friendly experience, easy to navigate, mobile responsive. Make sure that those product descriptions are detailed, comprehensive, and that they use language. We talked about this last month in our session, how to maximize product descriptions for SEO purposes. And I would really highly recommend everybody actually go back and watch that session again after today's, because it'll just reiterate a lot of the things we're talking about here for web design and e-commerce success. Having really great copy on your site is very important for getting found, getting discovered, but also emphasizing the products and services that you offer, and using that selling language, but also those keywords that are going to help you get discovered. And then finally, like if we're thinking about all the phases of e-commerce, right, this payment gateway is also really critical, although a lot of times it doesn't really get talked about. But making sure that your payment gateway, which whatever system you're using, is secure and trusted is really important. This might be common knowledge, but you never want to check out on a website if there's an ordering component to it that does not have the little lock in the URL. That means that it's safe and secure. If you ever come across a website that does not have a lock, that means that it's an unsecured website. And so your data might be at risk if you're typing in anything sensitive. So just a little quick tip there, if you're browsing and buying yourself, or even if you want to go back and check your website to make sure that it has that security feature, make sure that it always has the locked feature to protect data and personal information. E-commerce operations. So really the focus here is creating an integrated approach, right? How can we help you think about unifying all the systems that you're doing? We silo these, sections off, right? In-store, e-com, wholesale. We tend to kind of think about things in groups, which is absolutely accurate. We have to analyze them in groups, but really how are they all connected is kind of the experience we're trying to move to, right? How can you create unified experiences across all your touch points that your brand shows up, your business shows up? So thinking about ways that you're maximizing that experience for customers. And these are some of the components that go into how you do that for e-commerce and operations. So one is inventory management. And this is probably the trickiest part of the whole thing, in my opinion. Inventory management across multiple channels gets really tricky, and it's really difficult for small businesses to manage this. And that's at Beyond Mean, one of our big focuses is how can we create better inventory connectivity so that it's reducing workload, it's reducing costs, and the number of systems you have to manage. And it's still a challenge, even for us, we are still developing tools and systems that can help be more effective in this capability. And we will continue to do that, because it's not a problem, in my opinion, that's been solved for this sector. And so we're continuing to focus on that. But what we can do today is really taking a look at management of your stock, are you representing your core items online that are your core drivers? Like, is that first and foremost happening? And do you have healthy supply of them for order ability through your e-com channel as well as in your brick and mortar business? So inventory management is kind of top of the list there, right? You really want to try to avoid overselling or out of stock situations, removing things from online when they're no longer available, or pausing or hiding them, just to limit customer frustration, because there's nothing worse than finding something you absolutely love and wanting to go to checkout and it's no longer there, or it's not in your size. I understand not the end of the world always. Maybe there's a solution, but it's basically a friction point for a customer. So we want to try to reduce these friction points for customers. So inventory management is really number one. Creating an inventory management process for yourself to manage your different access points for your customers is key, and connected systems is probably the preferred way to do it. But in absence of fully connected systems, have something in place. I've seen simple things from like tagging items in the store with like a colored sticker, so if they come to the register, the staff knows that those need to be adjusted online at the end of day or in the next available moment where there's downtime, because there's always some downtime. Just something in place that alerts everybody knows is the process for managing inventory for your business and across all your channels. Next is fulfillment. So when we think about fulfillment, really the table stakes today are buy online, pick up in store, curbside offering, local delivery when and where you can, and up to certain radiuses, as well as shipping. Those are really kind of the four methods today that customers are looking for. And the more of them you can offer, the better reach, and engagement you will have. And potentially conversion. So all of those are available for you through your WeShop platform. But deciding and going in on your preferred fulfillment methods is, I would say, step one. And where you can expand those over time would be obviously the goal. So putting in a plan to expand those capabilities, whether it's I'm only offering buy online, pick up in store right now, but maybe during key purchasing seasons like holiday, I can expand my fulfillment offering and, do curbside or do local delivery, or offer shipping up to a certain point, up to certain key dates in the season. And then maybe you relax it if it gets too much to manage, but knowing when the customer, showing up when the customer needs you, as well as fulfilling on those customer needs in the moment, will help convert those sales through your e-com channel. Customer service. So providing prompt and helpful responses to inquiries and concerns. This is also sometimes difficult to keep up on, but when you expand all of your channels, obviously that's new ways for customers to contact you. So making sure you're staying on top of those communications, or having different point people managing certain platforms for you at certain times, it can be really helpful. This is also where AI is actually becoming a little bit more helpful on the scene, and there's different chatbots and customer service like prompts you can sort of pre-program based on questions that come in that can maybe also alleviate some of the constant communication inbound. And then returns policy. So this is actually a really interesting, I think, topic. We could probably do an entire session on just returns. But just making sure at the very basic, if your return policy isn't nailed down, communicating that, making sure it's clear, making sure it's posted on your e-com channel or where your product purchase, journey ends, so that customers know clearly what that return policy is with you. I think it's less about like the restrictions around it and more about just communicating clearly what that is, so that they know upfront what the process is should something need to be returned or exchanged. And okay, now we're going to move into marketing. So now that you've got your website, what are some things you can do to market that website and your e-commerce channel so that you can optimize for conversion and selling? So again, I'm going to plug last month's call, because this really dove a little bit more deeply into the components of marketing, but just to kind of reiterate some of those key key items. The things you're really going to want to focus on is search engine optimization. There's on-site, and then there's also kind of like a technical component to that. But the on-site, where it's you're optimizing your website for content rank higher in the search engine results, these are things that like you can really control, like through copy, tagging, great photos that you're using, making your sites easy for the search engines to crawl, so clean navigation, no duplication of content on pages. So, making sure that everything is sort of like custom for its page and purpose. Blogging is also really a helpful strategy and tactic there as well. Social media marketing, engaging with your audience on your social channels, and promoting products, maybe running some fun collaborations. This is also a great way to expand your audience and reach new customers and drive them to your e-commerce channel. Email marketing is still maybe the #1 way to reach customers in their inbox, although it's, I know there's sometimes a delicate balance with how frequently are you emailing, but it's still the direct line along with like SMS, which continues to grow. So both, I would say, email marketing and SMS can be great ways for you to re-promote your channel, your e-com channel. And then pay-per-click advertising can be effective, especially during Q4 holiday seasons when you're really trying to target and focus a specific group around a specific product or service that you're wanting to highlight for your business for the season. All right, business costs. So what does it typically cost to set up an e-commerce site or run an e-commerce business? And like the simple answer is like it can really vary, honestly. You can build a site and run it for, maybe less than $1,000 or $1,000, but it can also run you all the way up to 10,000. And if there's really complexity there and it's a large scale business, ongoing maintenance can be anything from $50 to $3,000 per month, depending on the services that you're using and bundling. So, the simple answer is it really can vary, but what that means is there's an on-ramp for everybody regarding whatever they want to do in the e-com space, right? There's a way for you to accomplish an e-com business, regardless of your budget, I would say. Like you can go very low DIY costs and have something super simple. That's more informational. And then you can obviously go very sophisticated and heavy into the features and whistles and data analytics and connectivity of systems and things like that, which will push up your budget. But in addition to just the e-commerce software and systems that you need, and maybe even design and technical support that might need to come along with that, some additional costs obviously is your product inventory, processing fees, for e-com purchases, which tend to be a little higher because of the risk of, in like just bad actors stealing credit cards and fraudulent activity online is sort of a better way to put it. But processing fees for e-com is much higher than in store just because of the fraudulent activity and security that has to go around it. Marketing campaigns to promote that site. So that's also things that need to be factored in, as well as maybe any customer service software for managing a lot of activity that might need to also be implemented. So these are just some additional costs outside of just the general e-com systems that you might be looking, or website development stuff that needs to be done to help you effectively manage an e-com business. And this chart here in the computer just kind of breaks down a little bit more about what we typically see for small business costs versus enterprise costs, as just like a little bit of a helpful gauge. So you can see more of the enterprise is really where that budget is getting pushed up, where most of the businesses that are on our main streets are probably falling into that first bucket. So you can kind of see the total cost there by web hosting, by e-commerce software, subscription services, by payment processing you're likely going to incur, and then what your total monthly budget range might be. So what trends are we seeing for 2024? So I always like to kind of like take a moment to say, okay, what's like kind of new and influencing the e-com space right now? Augmented reality is still kind of like proliferating around, you know, the e-com space. This is allowing things like virtually trying on clothes, seeing furniture in your homes or paint on your wall. These kind of like augmented reality experiences are becoming more, you're seeing more of them out there in the e-com space. And they're actually, the technology is getting quite like it's improved drastically over the last like few years. So it's getting even much better and more effective, I think, at helping customers with their buying journeys. So augmented reality is continuing to kind of like bleed through the e-com space in different ways. Social commerce is still a hot trend. So there's a lot of like social media platforms, obviously, that integrate, or you can easily sell through. TikTok, I think, is becoming a big channel now for many brands, and giving rise to like new customer, you know, discovery capabilities. It's hopped around. Instagram, it feels like it's sort of dying, and now it's TikTok, not dying, but it's sort of migrating to TikTok at the moment. But there's still a lot of brand discovery happening on Instagram and on Facebook. So it's going to continue to shuffle about, but social commerce and selling connection points through social commerce is still a very important trend. There's still a growing trend on focusing on sustainability. Consumers are constantly or more consistently seeking out eco-conscious options, where, you know, everything from like the product itself to like how it was packaged. Is the brand carbon neutral? You know, what are the shipping options? Like, is there an ability to just pick it up in store? Like, that's actually, you know, a focus on sustainability too. So there's the consumer, when and where they can, is starting to make these like more sustainability choices. And so I think knowing that that could be a part of your consumer's buying journey, you know, can influence the fulfillment methods you offer, the products that you're choosing to highlight, the language, the copy that you're using on your e-commerce site. You know, when you can pull that forward, it's I think very important and a good strategy to do. Subscription boxes are actually also gaining traction. So this is one thing, I think that small businesses actually can really excel at in this area, if you know there's a structure around it for your business. But creating curated boxes that can be delivered to the home, on a monthly, on a quarterly basis, gift boxes, things like that. People are really liking this, like little present at my doorstep, or like little present that I can buy, that is a small surprise and delight, right? That's curated by you, the expert, the business expert. And it can also impact customer loyalty and recurring revenue. So I love actually subscription boxes as a strategy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more small businesses adopt a subscription box of some sort in the future. And then hyper personalization. So AI is actually also influencing this trend. E-commerce platforms are using AI to kind of like make recommendations, stronger recommendations on products or assortments or services, presenting you with new offerings, and kind of leveraging that content that they're creating, in combination with consumer buying behavior and clicking behavior to kind of make more hyper personalization suggestions across all of their channels. And then looking even farther forward, so those are some of the more pressing trends. And then these are some things that are kind of like on the horizon that we have our eyes on and paying attention to. So some predictions of sorts. So what are we maybe in store for e-com in the future? Voice commerce is on the rise. So using assistants like Alexa or Google to create like hands-free shopping experience. There's a lot more. I don't know if everybody saw the Meta Ray-Ban like glasses that are out. Like, you know, as things like this become more adopted by consumers, we're going to start to see more voice activated AI assistants, and like shopping is going to be a part of that. So just something to kind of know is starting to happen out there, and it's not mainstream, but it's you know, there's always going to be an early adoption crew, and then the trend will sort of form and morph, and we'll see you know how Jonathan's coming in. There we go. And we'll see how it continues to kind of like make its way into the shopping world, right? But voice assistance is one. The metaverse, which, you know, I mentioned just briefly, how this is an interesting trend for me. Like, how is the metaverse going to impact e-commerce? So something to kind of like, keep an eye on. Interested to see how that affects us as consumers, and our buying journeys. Focus on ethical sourcing. So there's a lot more technology that's actually coming down the pike, and we're seeing in like the actual sourcing and the supply chain process of items. So there could be a world in which in the future with e-com, we know exactly, that item that you bought for your store, where like where it was assembled, what materials were used, where those materials came from, the journey it took from, its point of being constructed or built or manufactured to where it's ended up today. And so understand, like, there could be a huge transparency around products that we consume in the near future. So we're kind of keeping a track of like the supply chain and logistics support sector, where they're creating new technologies for this transparency to occur. Live stream shopping is still it's I would say more popular in Asian cultures or in other areas of the world, but it's definitely has a following here and a strength here. I think probably for small businesses where you see this most often is like Facebook Live videos, shopping videos, or maybe even other TikTok or YouTube kind of like channels. But these live stream shopping opportunities, I think, are starting to become more popular, but from the like more Western markets are allowing for like real-time interaction and these like downstreams now that we have demonstrations that we have, but it's very popular in Asian cultures as a shopping channel already. And then delivery innovation, so last mile continues to be a huge focus, and customers or technology companies are really betting heavily and creating infrastructure that allows for more convenient delivery options. I hope this also means more sustainability around delivery options, but we're going to continue to watch like what those look like in the future. Could there be drone deliveries dropped off at your doorstep? And same a increase of same day fulfillment options, for the small business sector opportunities. So we're going to keep a lookout for these trends to come. So as we kind of think about wrapping up the call today, crafting your e-commerce strategy. So just to kind of simplify, these are like the top 7 things you want to do. You really want to focus first on like defining your niche. Like, what is it that your business does? Who are you trying to target? Who are you trying to attract through your e-com channel? And what do you want to convey there? You also want to research your competition. So, who would you in the retail world would say, oh, who does this brand hang with? Like, who do they sit next to or beside? So take some time to look at your competitors' websites and understand what they're doing, because chances are if they're a competitor of yours and your customers are shopping with them, they're also accustomed to a certain experience with that brand. And so you want to make sure you understand that experience that they're maybe benchmarking you against, so that you can meet it and exceed it. So researching your competition in the e-com space is important as well, just to get an understanding of the landscape and what your customers' experiences they're used to seeing, and ways to beat it then. Develop your brand identity, have a very clear brand identity on your website. Sometimes I think this can be a very tricky thing to do, because especially when you may touch so many different there's so many different aspects of your business, it can be very difficult to convey that online in a like cohesive, streamlined way that's well organized, has a great user experience, and also brand identity around it. So don't be afraid to take some time or even seek outside help with this, because getting this right will only amplify all of your other activities. So develop your brand identity is a really important step. And then from there, you can design your online store. And so whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're going to seek the help of a website developer, I always like to recommend coming with your wish list of, these are the absolute things I need my customer to experience. I want them to be able to do. I want them to be able to find, my products easily. I want them to be able to find my brands easily. I want them to be able to do easy searches. I want it to feel like clean and user friendly, and like there you might have like a wish list of all these things. I want them to be able to see recommendations of products, like just make a running list. That will help whoever is building your website tailor your page design and user experience and interface to your specific needs that you want to deliver for your customers visiting with you. And then once you have your online store design, you can really craft your marketing plan around it. So how can you embed that site in all the other marketing activities that you're doing? Where can it show up? How can you integrate it? And then where else do you need to promote it to help that website get seen and also drive traffic and customers for you? And then optimizing for conversions, this takes some time. So, once you have things in operation, you'll start to learn. You're going to gather data and insights right from your website. You're going to see where customers are kind of like trailing off. You can just, easily embed a Google Analytics, capabilities, or even if you want to go big and seek some other outside analytics software to support this, you can as well. But Google Analytics is really, I think, all you need in the beginning. It gives you some great insights to how the behavior of visitors to your site and what's going on, and you can start to make tweaks. Like you can start to do some A/B testing of things. You can start to play with copy. You can start to play with like where things are featured and make some changes and shift some things around and see how that affects your traffic and behavior. And those are the ways you're going to optimize. You're going to begin to optimize for conversion. Learn how to do that for your business. And then I say launch, but like you're always launching. I feel like, especially with ecom, like it's always a trying something new and launch it, a trying something new and launching that and learning. It's just a continuous cycle of like the scientific method essentially, and you're launching, you're monitoring, and then you're making changes, and then you're launching and you're monitoring and you're making changes. So it's like a living, breathing thing that you're constantly, massaging and kind of working to make better over time. And then just to kind of reiterate again, we have some really great digital marketing tools that I want to emphasize. And I really would love for everybody to go back and watch last month's call just as like a layer onto this, because the marketing component is so important to the e-commerce development and build, and also infrastructure that you set up and helping it be successful. So these are just some reminders of what's available out there for you to kind of like check and go see, and tools to utilize to help you with your planning. And so that concludes the presentation portion of our talk today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and we can go into Q&A.
I have a question. I don't want to dominate here, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, Glenda.
Hello.
Hello.